Thank you very much for this opportunity, and also thank you very much for the participants to my roundtable discussions, which of course are invited to add any points at the end of my presentation. I think that what stuck with me after the discussion is the word access. Access to budget, so access to funds, access to data, access to a wider audience, and access to real world in terms of application. What does it mean? It means that when you're doing research, there's a solid need for funds, for more money, but who pays? For how much? Like how much is going to pay and for how long? This is an important point because in the rail sector, there's long innovation cycles. It takes decades to apply a solution. But on the other hand, railway companies need a solution rather rapidly. They need research for 4-5 years, but what after? There's the need for continuity in research. Secondly, there's a struggle to access to data. There's the need to have more and more data for validate a solution. So there's the need for high quality and a high amount of data. And this includes also the struggles in accessing, for example, field tests. There's a lot of bureaucracy to have field tests and also NDAs to actually have the information. And this is slowing down this process. There's the need also to get to a wider audience. It means that research has the need to go out from its niche and to be able to speak to the wider audience and to the public in a much simpler way, because this, of course, will mean that the research is understandable. It is possible to highlight why we need it, and then it can get more funds and then be applied. Indeed, there's the issue of real-world application, and it has been highlighted in our table that the problems are global, but the solutions and the constraints to apply the solution to these global problems are indeed local. So there's this dualism. And what does it mean? That the solutions are there, there's a gap, and then they're not adopted. And this is a real problem. Indeed, it has been highlighted how railway companies act only if there's a standard. So I will improve this solution if there's a standard that is imposing me to have this solution, or if there's a complaint. Otherwise, I'm not going to probably spend money on further research just to have a smaller benefit. So there's the need to have a stronger international cooperation between researchers and research centers, because indeed the issues, as said before, are global, and there's the need to understand more clearly the bigger picture. Because in the moment that we understand the public needs, it's possible to direct properly the funds and then implement the adequate solutions. So
thank you for the presentation. I have a question about the rail roughnesses you have shown. How were they measured, and are they to be generalized over the complete network? Because the values are very, very low.
Yes, we were also very surprised about that, but these measurements were all according to the EN 15610, right? To the EN 15610. We didn't measure it by ourselves. Some companies measured them, and it was on different sides about 2 main lines. One of them was even in a braking or acceleration zone. I don't know why this was so. And the other ones were in a time line. One side was measured several times, but it is more or less they showed all the same, that we are much beyond lower than the limits. And we have asked by Austrian Federal Railways, there was no special maintenance done there. I don't know why, but it is so.
Okay, thank you.
I only showed the results, I didn't measure it. Yeah.
Okay, just a messenger. Okay, Martin.
Yeah, I had a question. You said on your conclusion slide that noise prediction for mitigation measures like TDR influencing or wheel absorbers is needs further work. I'm wondering a bit, because like in rolling noise models like Twins or Stardom, you can predict these things.
In in the European model, you have only to as input parameter the transfer for the track, the transfer function, and these include the TDR properties. But if you have a measure which changes the TDR, you are not able to say, hey, I have 3 dB less in the spectra, and how does it affect in the prediction? You have to build new transfer function.
Okay, so you have to adapt the European model.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I remember that Lorenzo asked the question, who pays for this research? Do you have any comment on that? I mean, that might be an obstacle in
yes,
all of this.
It is an obstacle. And from my view, in Austria, we are a little country with the infrastructure manager is not as big as the DB or in France. So we have only limited possibilities to research and also. So till now, there was, in our case, there were some national fundings from the ministry, which paid for that, and also the Austrian Federal Railways paid this. But yes, I don't know who should.
Did you have that discussion in your group? Did you come up with a suggestion?
In terms of how
to finance this research?
No, it's not something that rose, I think, how to get money and whether it should come under a European level, having more guidance under European funds, national, or whether it should be research and development within the company. But of course, my participants are invited to raise their hands if there's anything they would like to add on it.
Rüdiger? I'll take you first because you already have some chance.
Okay, thank you. Yes, also a remark about financing. I think noise is really a systematic topic, and as far as we distinguish between railway operators and infrastructure manager, we will get really problems also with financing of research, because who has the cost is not the same who has the benefit. So, for example, if we have less noisier vehicles, the railway operators have to buy more expensive vehicles, but the benefit is by the infrastructure manager. He can build less high noise barriers, yes? And this is also always a problem also to get financing. And another topic is that research here is not a benefit itself. It's in other research topics, the railways can save money if they have some innovative ideas. They can save energy or save monies, but for the noise, the benefit is for the public, but not directly benefit for the business of the railways, only indirect.
I agree. I think the approach in Austria was good, that also the ministry funded such projects. So yeah.
I think there is one limit in our discussion. We speak about decibel, about modelization, about measurement, but in fact we know how to measure or to calculate dB level. We don't know how to measure it annoyance, and we translate in a way dB level, dB calculation in health condition. The number of years in a good health loss, for example, but we don't know really what is annoying people. And when we do real improvement on the rolling stock, for example, the rolling stock is very progressively replaced, so that people doesn't realize really that there is an improvement on the train. And I think that's a real problematic for us. The difference between the real impact of our policy and what the people are feeling along the track. And to be a good neighbors, I think we have to take into account the annoyance.
I agree with you. I want just to add that the European approach is these two noise indicators are compared with this dose response relation, and that, from my point of view, is a first step to get to the annoyance and to the effects on the humans. But as you can see in the history of the European Noise Directive, they were added one third category for the heart, and so it is an ongoing process also there. But I think it's a good beginning with the noise indicators, because this is not only decibel, a physical, because you compare it with something that comes from research from the humans.
Thank you. Did you want to comment on annoyance?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, microphone right behind.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on the benefit of doing research. In Denmark, we have found that there's a connection between the risk of cracks in the railhead and corrugation. So monitoring the corrugation and the rail roughness and taking measures to reduce it will decrease the probability of cracks and thus over years decrease or lead to savings. And it also goes for other surface areas that they can be detected early if you monitor the railway network.
Thank you very much. Thank you.